So why we need application layer? Okay, we know that application is required to provide services to the end user. Okay, so here when we talk about communication, it is basically provided using the logical connection. That means two application layers assume that there is an imaginary direct connection between them. Okay, that they can send the packets or send and receive the messages between them. Okay, so it is assumed that there is a logical connection between the application layer of the sender and the receiver. Okay, so if at all the idea behind this logical connection, what we are trying to tell is, think that there is a person. Okay, in probably in the textbooks they might have mentioned it as by name Alice, right? So Alice is I mean, is in a particular location. Okay, and there is one more end user. Okay, probably his name is taken as Bob here. Okay, when you just think that Alice wants to communicate with Bob, okay, he might send the information through multiple routers, right? So probably this router okay, belongs to some particular network. Okay, and that connected to some other ISPs, okay, internet service providers, and probably there could be one more topology wherein which there may be like a WAN connection, WAN network, and in that you have a router, okay, and that is sending an information to the Bob, right? So here it is not that directly we have any connection between the source and the destination, right? So here we think that the application layer, like we know there are multiple layers at the source and the destination before they communicate. We are talking about application layer here, and similarly all the layers exist at the destination person, right? So application layer is logical, and it is definitely, it is not physical. So I'll just show it in the form of a dotted lines. Okay, that means Alice and Bob both, they assume that there is a what you can say, logical channel, and it should be like two-way. Okay, so there will be a two-way logical channel exist between them. Okay, where they can send and receive the messages. Okay, but actual communication takes place through the several devices, right? Okay, that means he has to pass through multiple routers. Okay, and finally the actual information should reach the destination. Okay, so when we know that application layer is basic feature is providing services. Okay, so let us talk about like what services we are talking with respect to application layer. Fine. So when you just try to analyze, for example, think that the telephone network. Okay, earlier if you just take an example of a telephone network. Okay, so it was originally designed basically to provide the voice service, right? Okay, so basically, I mean, voice service to all the people all over the world. Agree? Okay, that they can talk to each other, right? So this network, that is telephone network, was later used for some other services, such as if you remember, I don't know whether you have seen or not, like earlier we had pagers and all, right? I mean, later we went with like fax. Okay, and yeah, multiple users are there, services are different. Okay, but earlier case it was only the voice service. Later it went with like some examples. We can take it as a fax, which was enabled by the users by adding some extra hardware into it. Okay, they designed to provide a different way of servicing the people, right? So here if you think of an internet, okay, it was originally designed for the same purpose. That means when you talk about the internet, okay, basically to provide services again around the world, right? Okay, the layer architecture what we have in this internet, okay, that we are using which layered architecture? TCP IP protocol suite, right? We are using this TCP/IP protocol, that is a layered architecture, and this is going to make the internet more flexible than other communication networks, like such as you have postal networks, telephone networks, right? No, so basically internet is going to give so much of flexibility for people, right? So here each layer in this suite, okay, that is protocol suite, which has its own way of handling the information, right? We know it. I think previous topics, like you might have studied the different layers, right? Excuse me. So when we just like think of these layers, okay, so each layer has a different new protocols that can be even added, okay, and even you can remove it, or you can also replace the protocols at different layers. Like I said, no, in the transport layer we saw many protocols, right? That means I saw TCP, UDP, SCTP. Okay, so many protocols like that. Also we have HTTP, FTP, right? No, so there are many protocols which supports these particular layers. So however we consider, if a protocol is added to each layer, it should be designed in such a way that, okay, it should use the services provided by one of the protocol at the lower layer. That means if at all I tell that it is FTP, it should use the services of the lower layer, one of the protocol of the lower layer. Okay, so if a protocol, say for example, I have removed one of the protocol from a particular layer, okay, then you have to take care that any change in the protocol at the next higher level, such that the services uh, say for example FTP is removed, okay, so what the below layer should be like intimated, okay, because if at all I am going to remove a particular layer, okay, I have to take care that the same changes happens at the other layer, next higher layer, okay. um, that is about the providing services, okay. Now we have something called as standard and non-standard protocols. Okay, so basically protocol, when we try to consider, it is like a rules that is being followed between the source and the destination, right? Something like an agreement that both will share and both will follow, okay. So to provide the smoother operation of the internet, the protocols which are used in the first four layers of TCP IP protocol suite, they need to be standardized. Okay, you cannot just go for something which is a non-standard protocol. Okay, and they have to be documented, right? They are standard one and they have to be documented. Say for example http, it is like standard protocol, right? Okay, and they normally become something like a part of your layers, okay, something like part of the packages, right? Something like sometimes what happens in your operating systems, okay, such as Windows or Linux or Unix, right? No, so in that particular operating system, they become a part of those particular packages, these protocols, right? I hope you are aware of it, okay. And when I talk about the standard protocol, okay, there are several application layer protocols that are being standardized, okay, and they are also documented in that particular internet authority, okay. And we are using them definitely in our daily interactions whenever we are using the internet, Okay, say for example, it could be Gmail, it could be like HTTPs, you can take all the website pages. Okay, so each standard protocol, okay, is a pair of computer programs. I'll write it. It is a pair of computer programs that interact with the user and transport layer. Okay, basically to provide the specific service to the user. Fine. And I think we'll discuss this some of the concepts in the further cases. Now, in the case of these application protocols, we should know that what type of services they provide, okay, how they are going to work, and the options that we have like we know we can use some of the options, okay, whenever I use these applications. Okay, the basically you should know about the protocols, right? Okay, the study of these protocols will give a knowledge for a network manager to easily solve some of the problems in case if it is existing in a network. Okay, because it is not that always a smooth interaction will go on. Even you have also seen internet sometimes will give lot of troubles and problems, right? So in order to easily manage or solve these problems that may occur whenever I use the particular protocol, I mean a protocol should be like pure, I mean more knowledge on these protocols is required. Okay, these standard protocols. Now, if I talk about the non-standard, okay, non-standard protocol. Here, they are not standard. Definitely, the name itself is like telling non-standard. Here, a programmer can create his own non-standard application layer program. Okay, say for example, if he or she can write two programs that provide services to the user by interacting with the again transport layer. Okay, that becomes a non-standard protocol. That means if at all you are using it privately, okay, that has made what you can say. I mean, it is designed by an individual user, okay, and it is popular in worldwide, okay, in the internet only it is popular, but it is privately used. That means a private company, if I talk about a company, okay, so a private company can create new customized application protocol, okay, to communicate with all other offices, say for example Wipro or Infosys, something like that. If I talk about Infi is having like multiple branches over the all over the across the world, right? So in order to communicate with these branches where it is existing, or to send some information, okay, at a time to all the companies, something like that. Okay, so the end users, what we are talking about, they design their private customized protocols we call. Okay, so that kind of protocols again. Am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, yes. Okay. So here, sometimes, as I was telling, the private companies, they may try to create or create a new customized application for their purpose. Okay, so such conditions, such cases, you can consider the non-standard protocols. Sometimes even those protocols, whatever the company has designed, has become like worldwide. Okay, applications, and people started using it. Right. Now, when we talk about the application layer, okay, we have application layer paradigm to be discussed here. So we try to analyze the application layer with respect to the client server paradigm. Okay, see, basically it should be like very much clear that to use the internet we need two application programs to interact with each other, correct? No, so two application, one is running on a computer somewhere in the world, okay, other running on another computer. So let me call it as one is client and other one is the server, correct? No, so I should have how many application? Two application program, right? So these two programs need to send the messages, okay, like between each other, okay, through this internet. Okay, so I'll call it as internet infrastructure. Using the internet infrastructure, both will communicate. Okay, so however, when we think of this application layer programs, okay, the client server paradigm is like it was being utilized few years ago. Okay, basically in this client server paradigm, the server I mean here the service provider, if I call okay, it does not talk about the providers here. We'll talk about the process at the application layer. Okay, so here purely we are talking about the application layer. Okay, so don't get the things of transport layer concept here. I mean, again, it is linked, but right now we are talking about the application layer where we talk in terms of processes, like, okay, our applications, different applications. So here like a client will be running one application and even the server will be having one application, so we call it as client process and server process. Okay, so there are normally like two processes. Okay, and the server process, if you consider, it must run all the time, and the client process need not run all the time, but client process is started whenever the client needs some services. Okay, it needs to receive some service from the server, or I mean some things which is to be like done from the server, it can activate. But server, if you consider it, it has to be like on, or it should run all the time, right? So normally you can think of something like an individual device and a base station, right? So I think you will get an idea of analysis, right? When we talk about this client server paradigm, okay, it is between two applications, we know, and role of each program is definitely different. That is, in other words, if we try to tell that we cannot run a client program as a server program, right? We cannot run a client program as a server program. Okay, I think in the next protocols, I think we'll have a better understanding. Okay, so when we talk about like client server programming, okay, we show that always we need just two applications, each of each type, I mean each of a different set of services. Okay, and that is shown in the form of a picture in your, I think, textbook. They have given something like this. Okay, like you have a LAN network wherein which multiple devices are connected to it. Okay, and that is connected to a router. Okay, similarly you may have one more LAN, okay, which is having again some multiple devices which is connected to it, and these are all again the information, they'll pass the information through an internet. Okay, so let me write it overall as an internet, and that information, it just passed through another router. Okay, and the destination end will keep it as a server. Okay, fine, and internally these servers communicate with probably another machine or a computer. Okay, let me call this is also a LAN, it is also using some LAN internally. Okay, so if I talk like this, okay, so this kind of client server program, okay, it is having one problem with this. See, we know that we have client and we have a server. Okay, And definitely, as I told you, we cannot run a client program as a server program, because client program is not meant to handle so many things, right? So one problem with this paradigm is that the concentration of, the communication, what is happening, okay, that load is on the shoulder of the server, okay. So that means that server should be so much powerful computer that even what you can say, any he should not be like overwhelmed, something like that, okay. If at all he is able to if at all is getting a large number of clients trying to connect to the server, okay, at a time, if you consider, because I have shown this is client 1, client 2, something like that, okay. So he should be a powerful person, okay, in order to provide the services, those who are willing to get the services, right? So there could be like multiple clients who is accessing the server at the same time, okay. So that is one of the problem. So multiple access, I'll just write it in my way. Second thing, another problem I could see that there should be a service provider, okay, who is willing to accept the cost and create a powerful server, okay. Create a powerful server for specific service. ಈಗ ನಿಮಗೇನೆ ನಿಮ್ಗೇನೋ ನೀವು ಒಂದು ಮಲ್ಟಿಪಲ್ ಟಾಸ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀರಾ, ಆಯಿತಾ. Do you think that you will service that particular what I can say, ನೀವು ಒಂದು ವರ್ಕ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾ ಇರ್ತೀರಾ, ಆಯಿತಾ. ಆ ವರ್ಕ್ನ ಫ್ರೀ ಆಫ್ ಕಾಸ್ಟ್ ನೀವೇನು ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಡೋದಿಲ್ಲ, ಆ್ಯಂಡ್ ಯು ನೋ ದಟ್ ಯು ಆರ್ ವೆರಿ ಟ್ಯಾಲೆಂಟೆಡ್ in doing such particular task, right? So in that case situation, definitely you would charge for it. So here the problem is that there should be a service provider who is willing to accept the cost and create a powerful server for these particular services, okay. Which means basically I'll tell you, this must always return some type of income for the server, okay. ಈಗ ಸುಮ್ಮನೆ ಕೆಲಸ ಮಾಡ್ಕೊಡೋದಲ್ಲ, it should always return some type of income, okay. That I think we'll discuss, probably I'll just get to know, okay, what type of service, server is going to give an income in what way, okay. Basically, in order to encourage such kind of what you can say, arrangements and all, okay, you need to, because server station, if you see, no, it is not so easy, right? Okay, so that is why whenever like you log into your bank something, okay, definitely, don't you think that they will charge some paisa, some rupees to you people whenever you use an ATM card, or okay, now the charges is like if you use ATM in the same like other branches for more than 4 times or even a one time, they will charge you some amount. That means the server is providing some details for you, right? So the client is asking for some services. So they're getting some income for this server, okay, because it's such a huge arrangement. For that, in order to encourage those things, there is a cost which is incurred, okay. And we have several services again here, okay, which includes, you can see www, right? And we have I think you all know it's World Wide Web, right? And we have something called as HTTP. What is HTTP? Hypertext Transfer Protocol, right? Please, you need to interact. Okay, and we have FTP also. A few I just name, whatever the few I know, okay. FTP, and we have secure shell SSH. You remember? I don't know whether you have dealt with these things, okay. So there are many things like generalized, or some of these protocols I think we'll discuss in the protocol section, okay. this was the client server paradigm. It was existing in the earlier case. I mean, when they started. Okay, so this was the something like it has become an history now, right? Something like that. It's an earlier introduction. Okay, now when we talk about the new paradigm, okay, in the new paradigm we have something called as peer to peer. Okay, so here we talk about peer to peer paradigm. Okay, so this is the new paradigm which was designed after the client server. Okay, so I think you might have seen P2P, right? This is that paradigm, okay, which is abbreviated as like P2P. Okay, I think most of you might have heard but never know what is that P2P is, right? So P2P is peer-to-peer paradigm. Okay, that basically has emerged in order to respond, okay, the needs of some of new applications. Okay, now in this particular paradigm, okay, there is no need of server process. Right? Okay, but in the client server process, you could have seen that we need a server process. Okay, but here we don't need a server process which is to be running at all the time and waiting for the client processes to connect. Correct, no? So that is why there is no requirement, because ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ರನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾನೆ ಇರಬೇಕು ಸರ್ವರ್ ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್. ಕ್ಲೈಂಟ್ ಏನಾದರೂ ಇದ್ರೆ ಕಮ್ಯುನಿಕೇಟ್ ಮಾಡ್ತಾರೆ, ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಸರ್ವರ್ ರನ್ ಆಗ್ತಾನೆ ಇರುತ್ತೆ, ಬಟ್ ಕ್ಲೈಂಟ್ ಏನು ವರ್ಕ್ ಇಲ್ಲ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಏನು ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಕ್ಲೈಂಟ್ ಪ್ರಾಸೆಸ್ ವಿಲ್ ನಾಟ್ ಬಿ ಜನರೇಟೆಡ್, something like that. Okay, but that paradigm was I told you, because of those drawbacks whatever we discussed now, we went on with a new paradigm which is called P2P. Okay, now here what is happening, as I just told you, we don't require a server process to be like run at all the time and waiting for the client. Okay, the responsibility here, it is shared between the peers. Okay, both will share. Okay, I'll just write responsibility is shared between both the peers. Okay, say for example, I'll tell a computer connected to the internet, it can provide a service at one time, okay, and receive service at another time. Okay, so here again I told you with respect to the sending of the information, that is a computer, it can provide and receive the services see at same time or like one after the other, again time sharing basis. Okay, so an example of a peer-to-peer, probably I can show you in the same way, like how we were having a client. Okay, let me call this as, okay, we don't have client concept here, so let me call these other devices, okay, which is connected to a LAN, right? And we have one more peer, okay, and it is connected to a let me call this something like a LAN switch. Okay, so all these are connected to this LAN switch, right? And through the particular router, it is connected to the internet. Again, in order to connect it to the internet, we should have another set of routers, and the same concept only, but only the way of analysis is quite different, right? So if I have here one more LAN with the server connected, okay, let me not use directly server is connected here. Okay, we have a computer which is with, again, processing with multiple processes. Okay, so one of the areas that really helpful using this paradigm, okay, is the internet telephony. Okay, like here the communication by phone here is considered to be the peer-to-peer activity. Okay, and no party here will need or need to be run for several time, some I mean like too much long time. Okay, or not to wait for other party to call. Okay, and another area where peer-to-peer paradigm is used is when some computers connected to the internet. Okay, they have something to share with each other. Okay, that means I have one computer, okay, C1 and C2, and this is the internet. Okay, so if at all they have some information to share, in that situation this peer-to-peer communication, okay, would work. And here the main, there are again some challenges, right? Okay, main challenge here is security. Okay, so I'll write the main challenge is security. Okay, so it is very much very difficult to create secure communication between this kind of technique or paradigm, like between the distributed services, right? Because we can call this as a distributed only. Okay, so here when we talk about applications, okay, there are some applications. What are the applications? P2P application. I think you will be knowing BitTorrent, right? So which makes use of P2P, and even Skype. Okay, and one more, as I already told, internet telephony. Anything else you know which is using P2P? Share it. Even IPTV, they use this P2P. Okay, yeah, some of the examples I just mentioned which uses the P2P paradigm. Okay, and we have apart from this, we are also having one more paradigm which is called as mixed paradigm. See, basic knowledge is definitely required, otherwise further analysis would become quite not clear. Okay, that is why. So when I talk about mixed paradigm, okay, what happens is any application which is choosing this mixed paradigm, okay, they use a mixture of both the paradigms, that is client server as well as P2P. Okay, the advantages of this and advantages of this are together, like combined. Okay, and it is used. Okay, say for example, in some of the applications like light load, okay, client server communication. Okay, so that can be used to find the address of the peer, okay, that basically wants to offer some service. Okay, so when the address of the peer is found, okay, the actual service that can be like received or sent between the peer. Okay, so by using the peer-to-peer paradigm. Right? So initially it makes use of combination of client server initially, later it uses P2P for communication. So it's like advantages of both are taken and utilized. Okay, so this is about the different paradigms which we know, okay, and which we are going to discuss. Now when I talk about the client server programming, okay, I'll just write in short CS programming or client server programming. Okay, see, in this client server paradigm, here the communication which is happening at the application layer of a client. Okay, I'll write the application layer of a server. Okay, it is like the application, like whenever you have a communication between the application layer, okay, between two running application programs, right? Because even the other end should also be like running, right? Okay, that particular application, you call it as, we know it is like processes, right? We know a general word, processes. Okay, a client process and a server process. Now a client is running a program and that initializes the communication with the server in order to, like, by sending something called as a request. Okay, because he wants to communicate, so he will send a request. Now a server will send another application program that waits for a request, okay, from the client. Okay, he will send, okay, if it is free or if it can handle, that means the server handles that request, okay, which is received from the client, and he prepares a result for that particular request and sends the result back to the client. Okay, that means he can also receive it or he can process it, some information he will acknowledge. Okay, now and again, after sending an request, I mean reply to the client, he will wait. Okay, and here the server, what we are talking, we know that it is a, continuous run. It is all time on, right? Right, because that is the what CS programming we have discussed, client server paradigm, right? Now when we I just told you that like a server, a client will request and server will reply for it. Okay, when a request has arrived, but the client needs to run only when it is needed, right? This means that if at all we have two computers which are connected to each other, okay, somewhere, now we can run a client process on one of them and a server process on the other, right? So we need to be very much careful here that the server program is started before we can run the client program. ಅಂದ್ರೆ ಇದು ಯಾವಾಗಲೂ ಆನ್ ಅಲ್ಲಿ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ ಲೈಕ್ your server program must be like initialized, okay, forever, okay, usually forever, but it in another way we tell that it should be like started earlier, okay, before the client program. Okay, so server is something like an infinite. Okay, the lifetime of a server, if you try to tell, okay, it is infinite. The lifetime of a client is finite. Right? Okay, so that is what basically the client will send finite number of requests, okay, corresponding to the server, and receives the responses, and after that it stops. Okay, so here when we talk about the application programming interface, okay, how can a client process communicate with the server process, right? So what happens is a computer program normally it is written in a computer language, right, with a predefined set of instructions, and that tells the computer like what it should do, right? So what does the computer language comprises of? What does the computer language comprises of? It comprises of some set of instructions, correct? No, with some for some mathematical operation if I want to perform, right? Okay, a set of instructions for string manipulation, or even you can call set of instructions you will be having using the computer language for input output access, like that, right? Say for example, if we need a process which is able to communicate with another process, we need some set of instructions, right? Okay, to tell the lowest 4 layers of your TCP/IP protocol to open the connection, send and receive the data, okay, from one end to other end, and close the connection. So you need all these things. How do you manage it? You need some set of instructions, right? So these set of instructions of where you are communicating or telling the below layers what it has to do, okay, that is referred to as API. Okay, so probably you may now be clear what is application programming interface. Okay, so what are these application APIs? APIs are nothing but these are the set of instructions which is going to tell the applications, or the, I mean, if I take an example of TCP/IP protocol suite itself, okay, the set of instructions would tell that lowest 4 layers to do some particular operations. That is like I told, open the connection or take the data, encapsulate it or do something, okay, receive the data, okay, from other end, close the connection, establish the connection, something like that, okay. I mean, some set of instructions which you are going to give it, fine, through what? Through API. API is that only, okay, and it is an interface in programming. Okay. Okay, let me tell what is basically interfaces. Okay, interface with respect to program, it comprises of some set of instructions which is handled between two devices, okay, between two entities, right? Okay, so in this case, one of the entities, it is the process, okay, at the application layer, and other at the operating system, right? Okay, so if I talk about, this is my process ಯಾರಿಗೆ ಹೇಳಬೇಕು? ನಿಮ್ಮ device ಅಲ್ಲಿ, if it tell, okay, it should tell whom? It should tell OS, right? Okay, that encapsulates the first 4 layers of the TCP/IP protocol suite, right? Any doubt? Any doubt? Okay. So in this way, the processes which is running at the application layer, they were able to communicate with the I mean below layers or 4 layers at the operating system, okay, using the operating system, and that include an API. Okay. Now several APIs have been designed for communication. Okay, I'll just name few APIs here. API the types ಹೇಳ್ತೀನಿ. One is like more type. Okay, one is socket interface. Okay, and another one is transport layer interface. See, lot of information you need to take up when you talk about networking. It is not that one single concept you should know. Everything you should know. It's a deeper information, right? TLIs, you might have heard TLIs, transport layer interface, and stream, right? STREAM, stream. Okay, so yeah, these are some of the APIs. Okay, I don't know whether it is in deeper, it is there in your syllabus. I'll just check into that. Okay, but some ideas I think we can have it. Okay, basically socket interface, it was designed somewhere around early 1980s. Okay, like at Berkeley, as a part of Unix environment it was designed, and this basically it is a set of instructions. Again, we know it is an API, right? So API itself is nothing but what? Set of instructions, right? So that basically provide communication between the application layer and the operating system. Okay, so it is a set of instructions that can be used by a process to communicate with the another process. Okay, the idea of socket here, socket ಏನಕ್ಕೆ ಯೂಸ್ ಮಾಡ್ತೀವಿ socket interface ಅಂತಂದ್ರೆ, it allows a user, okay, or us, okay, it allows us to use the set of instructions which are already designed in a particular programming language. Say for example, you can take C, C++, Java. Okay, there they have designed it for sources and sinks. Okay, if you have knowledge on C, C++, Java, you might have known that the APIs contains already inbuilt source sync programming programs, right? So this socket interface will use that. Okay, so like we have several instructions that can be read and write. Okay, for source and sinks, again it is not that what you can say, we need to build something. Okay, say for example, if I tell that keyboard is my source, okay, which has multiple keys. Okay, I'll take an example of keyboard. Okay, this is the keyboard which is connected to something like a monitor, right? keyboard. Now keyboard you call it as a source, and monitor you can call it as a sink, right? Okay, or you think as a file, or any files in existing in the particular I mean CPU library. Okay, you can think of anything. Okay, so we can use the same instructions which is used to read or write to the sockets. Okay, that means whatever already existing in that particular languages. Okay, the programming languages which are designed for the usage of this keyboard or monitors. Okay, same thing, same instructions. Okay, that means like my intention is that what I'm trying to tell is we are already uh, having those instructions. Okay, I use the same instructions, but only thing is I'm adding the new sources and sync. That's it. In keyboard adru hako, monitor adru hako, illa innond system me hako. That means it the socket interface. In case of socket interface, okay, the instructions are pre-built. Okay, it just uses those instructions, specific programming language. Using that particular specific programming language, it uses those instructions, set of instructions. Okay, and tries to interface. Okay, so where exactly the socket interface comes, what is the position of the socket interface ಹೆಂಗಿರುತ್ತೆ ಅಂದರೆ, ಈಗ ಒಂದು ಕ್ಲೈಂಟ್ ಅಂತ ತಗೊತೀನಿ. I'll consider it as a client, and this is the server. Okay, so client ಹತ್ರ ಒಂದು ಸಿಸ್ಟಮ್ ಇರುತ್ತೆ ಅಲ್ವಾ. This is my system, client system. So when I talk about the different layers, sorry, I'm unable to write it properly. We know that we have something called as an application layer here, right? Below which I'll be having the socket interface. See, in positioning correct ಆಗಿ ಗೊತ್ತಿರಬೇಕು. Okay, socket interface. Idru ಒಳಗಡೆ ಈ socket interface, because this is the one who is going to tell the instructions for what? A 4 layers. ಯಾವ್ದು? Transport layer, data link layer, network layer, data link layer. Sorry, I write this one more, physical layer. Okay, transport, network, data link, and physical layer. Okay, similarly we'll be having one more system at the server end. Okay, you have an application layer followed by the socket interface. Okay, and this fellow with uses, I mean, gives the instructions. Okay, that what these people should do, right? Okay, network, data link, physical, like that. Okay, so without changing any information, like anything, okay, the way we send the data or receive the data in this particular server socket interface. Okay, it basically it uses the existing instructions. Okay, so the idea is that fine. And yeah, we have a lot more to discuss in this. Okay, I think I have still more lot of information to tell about this APIs. Probably I'll continue this in the next class. So far, I think whatever we have discussed, is that clear to you? Yes. Okay. So please, in case if you have any doubts, better you clarify.